In this episode of Padel on Tour, we travel to the UK.
Demand is incredibly high and we're in effect trying to play catch up with the rest of Europe.
We're visiting the only indoor club in London, an impressive private club, as well as making our way to the World Championship qualification in Derby. Welcome back to Padel on Tour, the series where we discover the growth of padel around the world. I'm Philip Bjorn, but I couldn't make it to the afternoon tea today, so I sent my colleague Viktor Andersson instead.
It's gonna be fun.
Good for the television.
The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, located at the northwestern shore of Europe, was the world's first industrialized country. Padel, however, came as late as in 2011. In 2019, the UK had around 40 public courts, but today there are around 5 times as many. Our first stop is at Stratford Padel, the only indoor club in London. The venue has 5 indoor courts and more than 5,000 members.
If there was more opportunities, more courts, for example, do you think people would play more then?
Yes, I think so. Now no is famous sport here in the UK, but I'm thinking in 2-3 years that's the more famous sport in the UK.
Yeah.
Because it's growing now in Spain. You're playing more padel than football now in Spain.
Is there a lot of people coming here? Is it growing?
Every day more than 20 new players coming.
So you could expand?
Yes.
Yeah.
If we open, we open another padel club, for sure it's full booking again.
The players from Great Britain, how good are they now?
Padel here in the UK is obviously starting. We are getting new clubs now, we are building new courts now, so we are starting to grow the sport. And the competition is now growing. Actually now the LTA, which is the Tennis Federation, they are doing a good job in organizing many tournaments. What we need, I think, is to start and try to find more junior players and develop junior academy in every club that we have so far. From there we will build a good community.
If you could dream, what would you like to do with this club then?
The thing is, we have more players can come to play. That's the thing, that's the best thing, you know. But that's the problem for the government here in the UK. It's so difficult to have the space to make a 5-court more or 6-court more. That's the difficult thing. But we try to do this. Yeah, to open more padel club. That's it.
The greater area of London is home to almost 10 million people, but hardly any padel courts. We went to Hyde Park's only court to hear what Londoners think about padel.
I love it. I didn't play before. No tennis, no padel. So I started and I can't stop. You never stop learning because as you have the walls, it's very difficult and always you want more and more, and you're playing with better persons that go faster and more aggressive. So that's the interesting point of padel, I think.
Is this the most central court here in London?
Yes, and we have a lot of gardens and green and no houses, so it's beautiful for everyone to play here.
And you would like more courts here?
Yes, we would like 6 or more like they have in Chiswick.
Is it hard to get time here?
It's very hard because you have to be a member, so members have the first opportunity to get the courts, and also when there are classes you cannot get the court, so it's very difficult to get a court.
From the biggest city to the biggest padel club in the country, we are Padel. With 11 indoor courts and 3 outdoor courts, this club is hosting the 2022 World Cup qualification.
For sure, it's an honor to be playing on home soil, to be hosting such a big event. Of course, I'm super excited to be home playing here, and very different, of course, to be playing on home soil. I'm used to traveling to every other country but England. And yeah, I'm very excited, of course, and the rest of the team is as well.
How do you like playing for the national team?
I mean, every time it's an honor. Since I started playing padel 7 years ago, I've had the honor of representing Great Britain every single year, and it's an honor I continue to take to every single tournament. I just try and do everyone proud at the end of it. The female team this year, there's only 2 of us who are the same as last year, which is showing how much padel is changing and growing in this country. New women are getting involved, and our head coach has seen huge potential in the girls that are playing this season.
The regular people, do you see the awareness growing there as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tournaments that people are able to play. We have the LTA tournaments, so you have the different grades. At the moment, the women's level is still growing, so unfortunately I don't compete in many of the women's tournaments here, but for the amateurs there's a lot of opportunities.
If we look into the future, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years, wow.
You're still young?
I'm still young.
Even though you've played for a long time,
yeah.
experience.
My goal by the end of this year was to try and break into the top 100.
Yeah.
So 5 years time, maybe top 20.
Top 20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's put it at that. I mean, I would love to win a World Padel Tour, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it would happen in 5 years. It all depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
The high goal,
Yeah.
go big or go home.
The first time that Britain is hosting a paddle event this big, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've never been able to previously. No. Infrastructure just hasn't enabled us to host such an event. The opportunity arose because of this new venue.
We've been to London. It was a problem with there isn't enough courts.
Yeah, I mean, demand is incredibly high, and we're in effect trying to play catch up with, and provide the infrastructure. And also play catch up with the rest of Europe. You look at us and I suppose we compare somewhat to Germany. The growth that we're seeing now with the potential to scale, once you get to a certain amount, I feel it would build momentum and start taking care of itself. I think it's important to make sure the sport grows in the right way. It's equal opportunities, male, female, in terms of participation figures, making sure venues are in the right places. We're at the 210 court mark. I'm counting them daily. So I think from here it's going to be quite a quick journey to get to 400 courts, which is our target for the end of 23.
Okay.
And then from there, I think with 400 courts, my job then becomes really interesting. We have something to build on. Literally, as corny as it sounds, the sky's the limit. Looking at the European trends, what's happened in Sweden, I mean, that boom is just astronomical. So if we could achieve those figures, I feel it could happen very quickly here, based on us being the last in Europe.
Do you also see that as maybe a positive thing? You can see what they did, their mistakes maybe?
Yeah, no, 100%. And for me, that's key. We can almost learn from the mistakes from these other countries, really understand what's worked for them, what hasn't, and to try and almost do things better, just as a way to maybe grow even quicker in this country.
Do you think there's another explanation until why Britain is not as fast as other parts of Europe?
Primary reason for me is building regulations and planning permission. Things take a long time and things have to be done the right way. And there's a hell of a lot of regulation when it comes to infrastructure. I mean, I've seen everything in terms of these planning applications that are being withheld. It's the unknown. So acoustic reports are being requested. You've got neighbours saying that sounds and looks louder. But then there's also protected species, and you're going to laugh, protected species of snails, protected species of bats, trees. And all of that becomes challenges presented to local authorities. But I think it mainly comes down to paddle is unknown. And quite often they now seeing that a tennis federation is governing the sport, it's a welcoming force, and a lot of the applications get referred to the federation. They go full circle and end up on my desk, and I'm kind of supporting all of them.
I moved back from Dubai a year ago, partly for family reasons, but also I see the potential here in the UK. I was already working with the federation to create their coach education platform, and so I wanted to be here and I wanted to be in place to be able to help grow the game in the UK. I've competed for the national team probably for about the last 9 years.
How would you see the development regarding the national team since 9 years back?
We've had a fairly similar team, and there's a couple of oldies in the team like myself and Richard Brooks, and then the rest of the guys are a bit younger, and half of them came through our junior national team.
The amateurs in Great Britain, where are they now? Like awareness of paddle here?
It's growing. With our audience on the Padel School, for example, it's quite nice with our analytics. We can see all the countries that are developing, and the UK still makes up less than 1.5% of our views. But it is gradually coming, and it's understandable, right? The number of players is related to the number of courts. It will grow, but it will just take time.
Coming back to London, our last stop of our UK trip is at the Roehampton Club.
This is a private member club with around 5,000 members, and we have 28 tennis courts and 2 paddle courts. So the balance is not right.
No.
We have a golf course, 18-hole, croquet lawns, squash center. Every month we probably have an extra 20-25% of the members trying paddle, and it's definitely the fastest growing sport that we've seen probably in the history of Roehampton. We had a phase back in 2012, 13, 14, there was a wave of at least an attempt to bring the sport to UK. That did not work at that time, but this wave now, I think that's the real one. We have more financing, we have more companies that are willing to roll out new courts, and it seems like the British people are slowly getting that awareness of what paddle is. I think it's just an interesting way to look at it, how many tennis courts versus paddle courts a country's got. And clearly Germany's got so many tennis and almost no paddle. Yeah. This country the same.
Where do you see the perfect fit for UK paddle-wise?
I think the more social model will work better versus the more performance-driven centres. But clearly if we have performance players, they will bring up the awareness. But I think the way a lot of the paddle builders builds the court today, they really want to emphasize that paddle is a game instead of that hardcore sport like maybe tennis is perceived to be now. And here, like in Spain, you definitely have the opportunity to have the social areas of paddle as being as important as the sport itself.
We can all say that paddle is in the UK to stay and grow a lot in the upcoming years. The sport hasn't grown as much as in other countries yet, but is one of the most interesting to invest in. And we will probably have the opportunity to come back to London and the UK in the future, then with even more paddle projects in the city. Thanks for watching this episode of Padel on Tour. Stay tuned until our next trip.